Hello, hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, or welcome to my YouTube channel if you're still new. On today's video we're gonna be talking about what is shown on the screen. Previous video we talked about previous lesson rather, we talked about sequence and selection. It was about if statements, and I think I showed you guys 3 ways in which you can write or you can code your if statement depending on the conditions you have, number of conditions you have, or number of statements you must output depending on whatever conditions you are given there. So today's video is gonna be we're gonna be talking focusing on input boxes, message box, repetition, which is basically while loops. We also have for loops and for each loop, which we'll be doing on the next video. And then for today's video we'll be focusing on while loop though. And then so input boxes, first and foremost, input boxes are just another version of text boxes. So as the word says input box, so you can already guess that you're gonna be inputting information there. It's not gonna be used to output but to input information. So this is basically another form of getting information from the user. And then the advantage about it is that, unlike text boxes where you can input like I don't want to say a single entry at a time, but because there's a way you can make a text box to enter, or there's a way you can make a text box to get information multiple times. But the trick about it is that you'll have to press the button each and every time in order for the information that the user inputs on a text box to be stored, which is this kind here. Let me just show you quick. So what's happening here, I didn't show you guys this part on the last video, but what's happening here is that we have a button named btn add, and then we have a text box, and then this text box, we're getting the information from it and then saving it in this variable num input, which I'm guessing is an integer. So we have an if statement here. This is another version of an if statement, the one which consists of else. And then we have another version of if, which is just if then and if. It doesn't have else. That is only if the statements or the responses based on the condition, it's only one. So in this case we have 2 responses or 2 statements to output depending on the condition. If the condition is less than 0, you output this statement here. I don't really have a perfect word for this, but then if the condition is not less than 0, if this condition is false, then you go to this part and then you output it, or you compile it. So basically, if maybe we had only one statement, this else part wouldn't be needed. So it's just gonna be if num is less than 0, then do this, then end if. That's another version. The first version, actually, when we introduced the if statement. This is the second version. The third version is if you have many conditions, not just many statements but many conditions, of which I can't show you just now, but yeah. So when you have many conditions, that's why you're gonna be using your else if whatever do this, else if whatever do this, else do this, then end if and if. That's the third condition. Moving forward, I wanted to show you guys the way in which you can make a text box in this. So here, basically this short example here, we were getting the input from the user, a positive integer. We were summing up each and every positive integer that the user enters in this text box, and then until the user enters a negative text box, that means the thing's gonna keep adding. So up until the user enters a negative value, then we press the button, then the value, the sum beside the negative value that the user has just entered, the sum will be displayed here. So what's happening is that the user will enter maybe 1, and then press the add sum, then it will be stored. 2, then press the add sum, so it's going to be 1 plus 2, and it's going to be 3, but then the sum won't be displayed as yet up until the user enters a negative number like -1. The -1 won't actually be added to the sum. It's just the way to trigger the button to stop adding and also to display the sum here. That's the only way. So this is another way of making a text box to being able to accept many entries from the user, other than creating many text boxes, each and everyone to handle each input that the user enters, which is such a threat. You wouldn't want to do that. So if you look at this, it is doable. If you do this, there's nothing wrong with this, but then it's just not efficient enough, I'll say. And also it's like since you have two toolboxes or two tools that are being used, that means also eat up a lot of, not necessarily a lot, but then some space, because this will eat some little space to memory, and then also this and also this whatsoever. So you can just reduce this by introducing what we call an input box. An input box is just gonna be like this button here. When you press this button, a pop-up pops to you or to the user, prompting the user to enter entries whatsoever, and then there'll be an OK button. Depending on what you've done on your code to make it so that the user can input many entries. It can input, the user can be able to enter multiple entries on the input box. Moving forward, this is a shortcode for that text box in order for it to store multiple text boxes. We're getting the number, we're getting the integer from the user, we're saving it into number input. So if the number input, or if the integer that the user enters is less than 0, then you output the sum to the text box which will be used to output the sum, and then you initialize your sum to 0. We use this so that if the user decides to enter another digits again, so that the sum will be set to 0. Because if you don't set the sum to 0, otherwise it's just going to continue from what the previous sum was, adding to the new entries, and then which will be not a good calculation. So here we're saying if the number that the user enters is less than 0, then you output the sum which is already there to the text box, and then initialize. This is initializing. This is assigning. Initializing. Yes, initialize the sum for future use. Initialize the sum to 0, and then else, if the number, that means the number is less than 0, then you add the this is called this is not incrementing, it's actually adding. So you're actually saying sum equals to sum plus number of input. So remember that sum is 0, and then it's going to be 0 plus the number of input here, whatever the input the user entered, and then it's going to be stored as a new sum on this sum variable. And then after you clear the text box, this code here, or line of code, clears the text box of this text box. Because remember, the user will have to input another value. So instead of the user having to input something here, a number, let's just say 1, enters again, come here, click backspace to remove it, and enters another number. Once the user enters this, press this button, then and then the value is positive, then the value will just disappear automatically. That's what the txt.button.clear does. It clears the text box just after the user inputted the positive value, though only if the user inputted or input in a positive value. And then after that, a message box. A message box is also a pop-up. This message box is used to display messages. It can be an error, or maybe something, a node, or it's not used to output information. For example, it won't be used to output the sum, but it's only used to output helpful messages that can help the user. For example, here it says message number captured, enter next number. It alerts the user to alert the user to enter another number as the one that the user entered previously has been captured whatsoever. So this is how you can use a message box. But moving on, I've already touched about message boxes though, which is this part. Another form of output, we're not going to be using message box to output data or information that is, we're just only going to use message box to output simple messages to help the user know what's happening in the during the application. That's all. Simple messages, not complex things. Then input box, I already explained, is the other version of text boxes. Repetition, which we'll be talking about while loop. So let's just move on so you guys can see, because I also have to do a short example. Hopefully by 30 I'll be done explaining what everything is. So let's say, for example, this is what we had previously for the previous whatsoever, so that the user can enter multiple entries using a text box. This is what we had, and then when you're using a text box, it's going to be looking something like this. When the user press this add sum, a pop-up will show, and then a pop-up will show saying that the user must input whatever, a number and then a negative number to make the pop-up to stop, or to make the pop-up stop, to close the pop-up. And then when the pop-up stops, the sum is automatically outputted here. So yes, something like this. Basically, when the user clicks that button, then this pops up. So please enter the number to add, enter a negative value to display, and then enter here, and then up until you enter a negative value, this won't stop. I hope it makes sense. Only when you enter a negative value, then this will stop. Otherwise, if you just keep on entering a positive value, this will just keeps on popping up, popping up. Anyways, moving on, this is how use of or using a text box. This is what we did when we used the text box. When you use an input, a lot is gonna change. A lot is going to change. Using input, here is an example of using an input. I don't know if I should just copy this. No, actually I'm gonna use the, but then yeah, here what's basically happening, it's the same version, but then you are in a text box manner. So oh yes, again, input box. So this is an input box, ladies and gentlemen. This is an input box, and then this words that you see here, this sentence that you see here is this part. The first quotation mark part here, and then this part of enter a number is the heading, or like I don't know what to call this. Let's just call it a heading part. So yes, you can also rename this part by just putting in the second or so, but it's optional. It's up to you if you want to input this part or not. Basically, this is how you do an input box, and then you convert it to integer, because an input box comes as a form of a string, just same as a text box, and then a number here which is stored as an integer, declared as an integer rather. And then if that number is less than 0, then you output your sum, your total to the text box. Else you add the total, which is 0, initialized to 0 here. You add the 0 to the number that just added, and then you output it. But then the problem about this, okay, let me just copy this actually. If it's copyable, is it? I am not sure. Yo. I don't think it is copyable, because I'm not. Yeah, but then I don't know. Let me just do a short example, because we're basically going to be using this also for a while loop. Just to show you guys what this does, it's gonna work, but the problem about it is just you're gonna keep entering the button again and again in order for this to pop up, because yeah, you guys will see. I think this would be way much better with a better example. Just bear with me here for this thing to load. Let me see. Okay, this can go. Oh yes, also guys, please subscribe, share the videos, and also what, yeah, subscribe, share the video, comment below if you have anything you want me to touch on. Yeah, road to what, 5k, yeah, 5k subscribers. Up until then, just gotta keep pushing. Okay, let me just search it. We're looking for Windows Form Store. Okay, here it is. Windows Form Store. Wait, this is a C# method. Looking for Visual Basic. Make sure you choose the right things when you're doing this. Windows Forms app.NET framework, and it's Visual Basic Windows and it's desktop. That's the one we want. And I'm just gonna say preg underscore 3. What's happening with my thing? And then we're gonna save it under okay, decided to, I'm not sure. Why did I do that? Place the solution, create. Yeah, so Visual Basic. I mean, I'm just teaching you guys this language just so if you are out there, just so you can have a foundation to the programming world at least. It's not really helpful. I don't think you're gonna be using this language anywhere else in future. I'm not sure. I haven't even saw this language trending or one of the top 10 languages in the work industry, right? Yeah, I don't know if I said it correct. This English has a tendency of theraping me sometimes. Anyway, how can I do properties? So yes, same old. Have to change this. You can just say preg 2 because we're just gonna be demonstrating something. Also, you change the design part, which is the coding part. Where is it? For form, it's gonna be FRM preg 02, and then you're also gonna need a toolbox. To make a toolbox view, you go to view and then toolbox here at the bottom, make sure it is pinned, and then you open the common window. That's what you're gonna be using mostly. We're only gonna need a button and a text box for this demonstration. And also a label, obviously, which will be used to display the sum. Here's gonna say the total sum, something around this nature. And this is a text box. Why did I double click it? There's a mistake, guys. Please don't mind this. I was not supposed to do that. Anyway, I meant to move this so that can be aligned. Well, actually just put it somewhat here. Just a small looking decent thingy application. TXT sum or total whatever, and then btn num, and then here we're gonna just say, oh, what did I do? Oh, I don't know what did this do? Oh, nothing. Anyways, and what can we say here? Add number, add value, I guess. Add value, add number. add number, I think it's better. Anyways, and then double click this button to go to the coding part. Let me zoom in for you guys. Hope this is nice. First thing first, you need to include your option statements. Don't forget option statements direct on, and then option explicit on, and then option info off. Then from there, need to declare some variables. Then there we're gonna need one to store the value or the number that the user inputs. So you can just say number as integer. Okay, that's not meant to happen. Integer. And then also the one for displaying yeah, private sum as integer. So there's also called initializing, guys. Initializing can do it in the form, or you can do it in the, this is what we call the form. Usually this comes before the button, just so doesn't matter though, even if it's at the below the button, it's gonna be executed first. But then just so, wait, what's happening? Oh, okay. What did I just do? I thought I copied that thing. I guess not. And my bigs. Okay, let me just do this again. Comes here. This time control X, and then come it, place it here. So yeah, you can initialize your things here. Initializing, and then initializing is basically saying sum equals to 0. You are making this sum equals to 0. You can do it in here. You also can do it in the button, but it's just good practice to put it in under your form, because it gets executed first. The form always gets executed first, if I'm not mistaken. You can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. But then from yes, because the first thing when we click the start, the form is the first thing that's loaded. Before you even press the button, the form loads first in a way. Anyways, yeah, so after that, now you gotta get the input, get values from user. How we're gonna build it, just call the variable there, number equals to convert, and then to call the input box, you're just gonna go like input box, and then brackets, and then you put quotation marks, and then you write the message here, please enter a value, note n.p, enter a negative value to do what again? Enter negative value to display total, and then yeah, or I can also do, this is gonna well, this is for let me just teach you. This was not on my scope to teach you guys now, but let me just teach you guys. We also have this thing called let me see if I still remember it. Environment dot what again? Is it environment dot command line? Is it command line? I think it's command line. Get command line elements, get whatever. New line, yes. So basically what this does, it's a cool feature, by the way. And then here you can just say total. Remember the second argument that you input is for the title. If I say for the heading, actually not the title, for the heading I mean this part here. What I just typed now is this part. And then with the adding environment, that new line, you're gonna see what it does. It's a cool feature that you can use it to practice. If you want to give the user more clearer things, of course. So here is gonna be total total what? Total number. Remember, the second part is for the heading. The first part, everything here that I did is for the statements, for the instructions, or yeah, for the helpful information for the user, of the user, for the user, of the user, whatever. Anyways, so what this does here, it says please enter a value. Please enter a value. Actually, let me put a full stop here. Please enter a value. Then environment.newline is basically saying go to the new line, like go to the enter, in a way, for simple. This basically just means enter. So you know that enter just basically saying go down, like go to the new line, go into the new line, go downwards to the new line. That's what it does. So it's gonna, this information here is gonna be on the new line after this one here. So instead of just inputting it as a single line, because here's a single line here, so this part is gonna be on a single line, on the new line. So that's what the environment.newline does. Anyway, moving forward, after getting the information from the user, we finally manipulate it. Oh yes, so we're gonna say if the number that the user inputted, why am I not catching it? Oh ish, no brackets. I hope it was, oh yeah, if the number is less than 0, then do this. What do we want to do? We want to output whatever value we get, txt dot text, not enabled, dot text equals to cstr into the sum. So if the value that the user is a negative value, we want to input the sum into the text box. I hope this makes sense here. Else what do we want to do? We want to calculate the sum. This is how we're gonna calculate sum plus sum. Oh, there's a shortcut for this, by the way, but for now let me just show you. Plus number, and then from there we want to, what do we do? This is just it now, if I'm not mistaken. Oh yeah, and then here okay, this is already do we have to initialize the thing again? Not necessarily. Anyway, this is what they did here on the thing, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, number less than, then we output, otherwise whatever. Please delete my text box. Oh, this is for the text box. Yeah, this is for the input. This is basically what we did. This is what we did. So let's run this and see what happens when we run it. So we're getting the number from the user. We check if the number is less than 0. If it's less than 0, we output the sum, in which the sum is going to be negative if the first value that the user enters is a negative value. I mean, it's going to be 0. And then otherwise, you take the number and then add it with the sum, in which in this case the sum is 0, so that the sum is going to be that number. So yes, let's see let's run and see what happens. Again, the aim is for me to make a 45 minutes less or not more than that, because yeah, this ensures my space and the Wi-Fi. Anyway, so when you click this will pop up. Please enter a value. You see what I say when I said about a new environment, this code here, environment.newline, basically just, divides or make the content start after this environment on your line to go to the next line, to go to the new line. That's what it does. And then please enter also total number. It's this part here. If you look at where my cursor is this part, and then all the information here is the part of this information. Is this part here. And then from where you input a value, let's say 2, and then you click OK, this will go. Now it still works. The problem about it is that for you to add a number, to add another value, you have to press this again. And then let's say 5. 2 plus 5 is how much? 7. Then press OK. Then add, let's say 3. Then enter. Right? And then let's say a negative number now, -2. So this is supposed to happen. Yes, so it is working. It is working. So with this, as you can see, you can press as much as you can here, and then you can input multiple entries, multiple of them, multiple. So you want, unlike in a text box where you have to, oh yeah, I just cancelled that by mistake. In the text box where you have to put a value in the text box, click a button, a value in the text box, click a button. Same, yeah. So this is a way much better of, this is a way better approach to do it. But then there's even the best approach to do this. In order for you to stop clicking the button again and again, in order for you to input in order for you to input a value, there's a way in which you can do it. So that, why does it do this? So that you wouldn't have, okay, it's complaining. Let me just stop. There's a much better way to do this so that you wouldn't have to press a button, enter a value, and then press a button again. Instead, what you can just do, press OK, and then you enter again, OK, and then you enter again, OK, up until you enter a negative value. Then when you press OK, then it disappears. So which brings me to the part of while loop. The while loop. So the while loop is not the same as if statement. It's different from the if statement. So this is how we're gonna be doing it. I'll explain about along the way what the while loop does, and yeah, hopefully you get to understand it. So in the while loop we say okay, let me just remove this. While number is less than 0, and while, let me see if this, while number is less than 0. Oh yeah, while number is less than 0. Oh, okay, wait. There's also a way better way to do this without okay, while number is less than this. Now there's few things that are going to change here. Few things that are actually, let me just, why is it that I can't do redo here? It's so frustrating because I can't do, undo, not redo. I don't know why it's like this, because now I wanted to bring it back to how it was. and to show you guys another way of making that thing to work without using a while loop. So let's say, for instance, number brackets. Don't blame me, guys, I'm used to Java. If number is less than 0, unless I'm gonna be doing this in a Roman manner, if number is less than 0, then just bear with me. Else does this each and every time, and then from there you what do? You calculate the sum. Oh yeah, I wanted to show you guys a shortcut for saying a shortcut for this. This can be tiring sometimes, so there's a way much better to do this. This can be tiring sometimes. Instead of you repeating this again, you can just say plus equals to. So this is basically the same way of saying sum equals to sum plus number. Anyways, from there, if the number is less than 0, we want to output txt.sum.text. Don't know if this is gonna work or not. Hey, I'm not even sure. What am I doing? Yeah, we have to talk about this. Why is my undo not working? What again? Sum. CSTR into sum. So let's talk about this. What does this do? I'm afraid this will have to come back again. And then there's a reason for that. So if the number is less than 0, the first number that we get is less than 0, we output this. Otherwise, I have to add first, not this is the what we call about sequence, guys. You have to make sure your code makes logic sense. Again, I don't understand why I'm unable to undo there. For some reason they are not functioning. Anyways, this is another way to make the input box to appear many times instead of you pressing the button again and again in order to input something. You only gonna press it once, so until you enter a negative value there, that input box won't go away. Let's run this and see if it's gonna work. Yeah, then after this we're gonna test the while loop part. So so suppose was that this is not supposed to go away after I input a value. So let's say 5, so supposed to go away. The number it is stored behind, so up until I go now and enter a negative value, this pop-up won't go away. So we inputted 5, now let's say 6. Okay, there's a problem with that. Is there a problem with it? What's happening? Why is it so slow? Why is it so slow? Where's the error? No issues found. I don't know what's the problem. What's the deal with it? Wait, what did it do? So only multiple. Oh, okay. Now we can only input 2 times. Basically, there's something wrong with this. There is something wrong with this. What am I doing here? Adding. So technically this is supposed to run up until I input a negative value. The question is, what am I doing wrong to this? If the number that I input is less than 0, then do this. Otherwise, else repeat this. And this will be Oh no, it doesn't make sense. Yes, because an if statement doesn't run multiple times. I think it is starting to occur to me now. Yeah, an if statement doesn't run multiple times. It only runs once. So in order for this to work, so I'm supposed to do. Let me just change a few things here. Instead of I do this, this will go away. There's no else in it. And then and while. So while number is less than 0, while the number that I get from this user is less than 0, okay, no, okay, here's have to change to greater than 0. While the number is greater than 0, we want to add the sum and then input the thing again up until when the number is less than 0. Then if the number is less than 0, this won't execute, then it's gonna output the sum. Yeah, this makes sense now. So what's happening here, this is what we call a while loop. You see, if you guys saw on when using an if statement, you can't make it to repeat, because an if statement gives you the power to have a choice, and that choice you can in that case I think can only have a choice 2 times, because if you saw, I was able to enter the first time and then the second time, but then the third time they wouldn't allow me to enter. But in this case, a while loop, this is supposed to run or to repeat up until my number here that I get from the user is a negative value. But then if I keep inputting a while loop, a positive value, this is gonna keep on going and going and going and going. I hope it makes sense. Just so we are on the right track, let's run and see what's gonna happen. My time is almost up. So 5 plus 5 plus 5 or plus 6. So as you can see, as long as I continue inputting a positive number, this won't go away. But then obviously the sum is imaginarily it's getting bigger and bigger. So up until I input a negative number, then the thing goes away. Let's do it again. The problem about this, I hope you guys was, okay. No, let's see if it's gonna, now we have 60 as a value. Let me add 5 and see if it's gonna be 65, that means the sum is not initialized to 0, so we have to do something about it. Let's input a negative value, 65. So you see that the sum, the new entry that the user inputted, that I inputted in this case, it added up to the previous sum. So in order for this to be rectified, we're gonna have to add the same as what we did here, sum equals to 0. We're gonna have to do it where in this case, it's gonna have to be under the button, inside the button, not necessarily inside the while loop, but inside the button, because only when we enter, we press the button again, then okay, let's see, let's run and see what happens. So let's just start with 2, 3 and 5, so it's 8. 2, 3 and 5, it's 10. Sorry about that. So this is not supposed to, what I enter now it's not supposed to add to the previous sum, which is 10. It's actually supposed to add to the new sum, which is 0, and then output the correct new sum. So we're gonna add 2 and then 4, 2, then 4, and then 6, 2, 4, 6. What is going to, and then 5 in this case. So it's 6 plus 5, 11, 11 plus 6, 11 plus 4 is 15, 17 basically. So there's an error. We have an error here. My mistake. What did I do? Let me see if I can repeat this. Sorry about that. I inputted, I submitted nothing actually. That's why it's complained. Let's start again. 4, 5, 1, which is basically just 10. and then from there we just add 3 6 6 3 3 6 6 6 is 12, then 18, then a negative value. So the answer is supposed to be 18, not 28. 18. So yeah, this is why it is important to understand your code and to understand the sequence of your code. So what's happening here, because as you can see now, this is a when I click this button, this part of the code is executed when I click that button. As I said before, the form part, only when you click the start here, the form part is the thing that is the one that get executed first. When you end up pressing the button, the form is already been executed, so that means the sum is already been initialized to 0, right? But then the thing about it is that I won't close this form and then open it again so that it can start from 0. The user won't close this app and then open it again so that the sum can be 0. So it is very crucial to put the sum equals to 0 also inside your button, but then at the right place. So that when the user enters the button again, the sum will be initialized to 0. As you saw before, this sum was not inside the button, so because I did not close this, I just continue adding new entries, so it continued from the previous sum. In order to stop it from doing that, we initialize the sum equals to 0 just before the while loop, just before the calculations of the sum. That's why you have to be sure. If you take this sum here, if you take this sum equals to 0, maybe place it here, it will still work. Why would it still work? Because okay, wait, would it still work? It will still work, but then it's gonna be flawed. Here's why. Because now you're gonna get the first number. Let's say you get 2, right? It's a positive number. It gets here. It says if 2 is less than this, then do this. So it's gonna add 2 to the sum, right? So it's gonna add 2 to the sum where sum is 0. This makes sense. Okay, now sum is 0. Then now it comes here. Then the user input another value. If that value is a positive number, let's say it's 1 now. So it comes here and says, is 1 less than greater than 0? The answer is yes. But then what is it going to do? It's going to initialize that sum to 0. So instead of the sum having 2, which was the previous entered value, now our sum is going to be 0, and it's actually going to be 0 plus 1, which is the new entry that the user inputted. Therefore, our new sum, our sum is going to be 1. So it is not wise to input or to put your sum initializing here. I hope it makes sense. Also, it is not good to put it after here, because now this is going to be 0. Because basically what you're saying here, you're saying after calculating the sum, then initialize your sum to 0. So here you're going to be outputting 0. I hope it makes sense also. So basically the right way to put your sum is just by the outside of the while loop at the top. That's where you can initialize your sum, so that yeah, I hope this makes sense. Because if you put it anywhere inside the while loop, it won't make sense anymore. But basically this is what a while loop is and what it does in a short summary. It gives the user or actually the coder to be able to get multiple entries from the user, and also gives the user to ability to enter multiple entries. Well, depending on what you're using it for. In this case, the user was able to enter multiple entries to the text box, to the input box. And then in input box, it's just a better version of a text box, because we don't need a text box actually, and then we don't need two tools, only a one button which will cater for everything that we want, in a sense, in a way. An environment.newline, or as I said, gives it just takes, well, what is it? What you can just say it's an enter in a way. Just take this as an enter. When a user press enter, and then it goes to the new line, the cursor goes to the new line. This is what does. So basically, after this, everything that comes after the new line is going to be on the next line. I hope that makes sense. And then this is oh, we didn't do a message box here. Well, as I said, it is not good practice, but the message box, you can also say this is how you're going to be doing a message box, and then input something here, like yay, our lesson is officially is done. Well, we are done, ladies and gentlemen. This is my last my last thing to show you. And then again, the second argument that you input, I don't know if you guys, I don't know if I taught you that we have what we call parameters and arguments, but then they'll make more sense when we're doing functions. So what I input inside of this is arguments, and then they're divided by a comma if there are more than one argument. And then this second part here, like what we did on the input box, the second part is for the title. I can just say what message or something, message. And then let's see if it wait, what's happening? Did it work? Nope, there's an error here. Let's see what the error is. Maybe my message box is not correct. But what does it, the options the on this other simply come from string to message box. What? What's wrong with this again? What's wrong with this again? Just bear with me here so I can see what's. Oh no, it was. What did I do? I think it was just here. Message box. Oh, okay, I see. What's wrong with it? Oh yeah, message box. What's the difference between the one I wrote and the one I don't know? I think the one I wrote only allows a single. Oh yes, I am okay. Yeah, the one I wrote, the message box that I wrote, guys, it only allows a single argument, and then there's this other message box which allows like two arguments. What am I doing? So I can just basically paste this, and then this comes here. So okay, I really don't know at what point I post the video, not the video, my recording by mistake. But I'm sorry if you're gonna be hearing this and not relating to what is happening on the screen. Basically, I post the recording on my phone by mistake. I didn't notice, and I continued doing my thing on the screen as you saw actually. Oh, as you're gonna be seeing, because it's gonna be delayed. So yeah, so sorry about this. I don't know if I'm gonna shorten the video. In this case, I'm gonna shorten the video so that it can cater what I did so far. So basically yeah, that's all for today. I'll see you guys on the next lesson, which will be about the other kind of repetitions. As I said, we did a while loop today. We're gonna be having a for loop, and for each loop we're gonna see it when we're doing arrays, which is, I don't know, a lesson in 2 videos or 3 or 4 videos actually. For now, yeah, enjoy. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment. Ciao ciao.